right, welcome. It's 6:28. I'd like to start the meeting. Welcome to the Park Toastmasters Club 6859. The mission statement of the Toastmasters Club is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop their communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Welcome guests and Toastmasters today to our meeting. We have a special workshop today with special guest today, Jason Maraschiello. Did I pronounce that correct?
No, it's
Maraschiello. And he's a seasoned a speaker. He does a lot of workshops for corporate clients, and it's a special treat for him to do this today for Toastmasters. So today we have, our Sergeant at Arms was not here, but we have timer is Kelsey Horning, and we have Dimitri. He is our table topics leader. We'll have a table topic session after the workshop. He has prepared a special skill testing table topics for us today. Okay, before we start, I'd like to, there's a few guests in the room. I'd like to start with giving the guests a chance to introduce themselves. Are they first-time Toastmasters, and how did they hear about this, and what they like about Toastmasters? Maybe starting over here.
Stand up.
Sure.
Hi, my name is Monica. I have been a member of Toastmasters years ago of a very, very lively club called WCV, Toastmasters. Unfortunately, the club died with COVID, and since then I have been missing it. I came here because I live very close by and West Joyce.
Great. Thank you, Monica. Excellent. And Fumitaki?
Yes, good evening. I'm Fumitaki. The reason why I'm interested in Toastmasters is because the public speaking is very useful skills for me to find that job here in Canada. And Cat Council invited me to attend the Toastmasters to learn to speak in public.
Excellent, thank you. You're in the right place. All right. And Rick?
Hi, I'm Rick. I found you guys on Eventbrite, and I'm also in the neighborhood, so I thought, wow, I didn't know about this one. It's crazy. What brings me here, I've never been to a Toastmasters. Of course, it's world famous. I always thought I should go check it out. I'm in the communication space. I'm involved with a nonprofit that does support for communication coaches and trainers. So again, I just want to see if there's any synergies or friends and all that stuff that I thought I better check out Toastmasters.
Great. Welcome, Rick.
Thank you.
And Eduardo, of course.
Yeah, I'm being part of the Toastmaster for 1 year now. I belong to the Clair Av E Toastmaster, Lauren Young. This is my second time in this club. I came especially for the presentation.
Welcome back, Eduardo, and Angela Gooden.
Hello, I'm Angela Gooden. I've been in Toastmasters, I think it's like 13 years now. I am the area director, and this club falls underneath my area, and I wanted to support the workshop and come by and see Alan and the rest of the team.
Great, thank you. So, guests, we do have a table topic session at the conclusion of the workshop, and you can participate if you'd like to, and we highly encourage guests to participate in that. That's actually one of the favorite events for the guests. And, Lewis. Welcome, Lewis. Welcome back. Want to give a quick intro to yourself while you're here?
Yes. Hi everyone, I'm Luis. I'm from Nicaragua, and I came here for 3 years. I'm working with the market.
I can see you.
Oh, our Sergeant at Arms here. Fantastic.
Yeah, I always.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
So Linda already did the intro of the guests and also the
I'm sorry, how did that sound? I mean, it's just 6:30.
well, we started about 5 minutes early, so we have about 5-6 guests.
5 or 6 guests.
Yeah. All right.
Happy to have you all.
We did the mission statement as well. Okay, now on to the next part. All right. Okay. Welcome, Tricia. Would you like to do a small, quick intro for yourself?
Right now?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Hi everybody, my name is Tricia. I'm going to be joining the Toastmasters group today, so I'm going to be signing up for like 2 months, so for August, September, and then I'll see if I can continue on for the remainder of the term. I was a Toastmaster before, so I'm looking forward to getting back into public speaking and tabletop with everything that's involved in Toastmasters. So thank you.
Going to be our newest member. All right. All right, without further ado, so today we have Jason Maraschiello. He's a keynote speaker, professional development, and hypnotherapist. He has worked with everyone from the Royal Canadian Air Force, Bell, Amazon, AstraZeneca, and RBC to children's camps using both his Communicate Bravely model and the Diamond model. These models are less specific about public speaking, more about how to have real conversations with the intention of building mutual understanding and stronger relationships. He has delivered these talks and workshops for human resources and sales teams, managers, executives, and others who simply want to grow in rapport, building, and confidence communicating. All right. And today we have Communicate Bravely. He has crafted a special condensed version of his workshop. And it's a framework of courage to take your connections to the next level, build stronger relationships through honest and connected conversations. Please welcome Jason Maraschiello. Oh, yes.
And the door.
Everyone see me okay? Yeah. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, we're going unmiked today. That's usually rule number 1, is never go unmiked. No matter how small the audience, we're breaking rule number 1 already, but it's fine. I want to start off by taking you back in time. If we go to the 1600s, which was the age of the samurai in Japan, it was very common for families to send their children across the land to go and study under a sword master. And you would get these young apprentices showing up to the dojo, and they would have these visions of grandeur, of being handed these amazing swords that they would be able to, make a name for themselves with. But instead of being handed a sword, they were often handed a broom, or a hoe, or a feather duster. And for some of them it was very disappointing, but they didn't want to let their family down, so they would do what they were told. They would have to do tasks around the dojo. And while they would be doing their tasks, periodically, the sword master would jump out from behind furniture and crack them across the back with a bamboo stave, and it would hurt. And so a little bit of neuroticism would start to kick in. They would start to see the sword master in the shadows. They would maybe not sleep as well because they'd be terrified that while they're sleeping, the sword master would jump out and start whacking at them. And some of them, it was too much to handle. The paranoia would get so severe that if they walked into a room, they would be convinced that they knew where their pain was coming from. They would see a room divider in the corner, and they would be so certain that the swordmaster was there that they wouldn't really be paying attention to what they were doing. They'd be focused, but the swordmaster didn't become a swordmaster by being predictable. So he would jump out from behind something else, crack him across the back, and then jump away and giggle and whatever swordmasters did. For some of those, it would be too much, they would reach burnout. But others learned a very valuable lesson. They learned how to surrender. And in our culture, surrender usually means some form of defeat. But we're talking about the kind of surrender if you were caught out in the rainstorm that you knew it would be futile to try to dodge the raindrops and you could actually just let it wash over you. It's the surrender of realizing what fights you don't have to fight and understanding what's within your control. And for those students, they would learn mindfulness. So while they'd be sweeping or working in the garden and working away, they would notice that little creak in the floorboard behind them, and then they would be able to turn the broom, catch the bamboo stave in the action, and that's when the sword master would take the broom out of their hand and hand them a sword of their own. Now, they knew the importance of developing the mind before just handing tools. Yet in North America, we are all about our tools. AI is the biggest tool that we've seen in a very long time, and we're just throwing it out there without really understanding how to use it, what to do with it, and there's many examples of how we've done that in our civilization. And these very important human skills, which we call soft skills, become something that we put lower down on the priority list. And yet to do any of this development work, we listen to the mission statement here, to talk about growth, to talk about building relationships, these soft skills, we have to learn how to use them in a very hard way. So that's part of what we're going to be talking about today. I've been studying Buddhism and mindfulness and meditation since I was 10 years old. After reaching my corporate burnout in my 20s, I sold all of my possessions and I went backpacking around the world, living with different indigenous peoples. I lived in the Himalayan mountains. I studied Buddhism in Thailand. I studied yoga in India. I got to experience how different people communicate. I got to experience how to communicate with people who spoke completely different languages, and we somehow understood each other through grunts and silly actions. And there have been some commonalities that I learned throughout those journeys that when I came back to North America, I was fascinated with understanding the mind and how we connect. So I started studying psychology and psychotherapy. I became a hypnotherapist. I'm working towards a master's in social work. And I used that to go back to the corporate world where I kind of felt defeated and try to help people not reach the same places that I ended up reaching. So that's what kind of helped me develop this communicate bravely model that I want to share with all of you today. Before we go there, let's talk a little bit about those soft skills, some of the emotional intelligence that we hear so much about when we're talking about leadership a lot of the time. So I'm going to ask you some personal reflection questions here, and just think about these on your own. So question number 1. The most common sign that you're stressed is what? You don't have to say it out loud. Just think, when you're really stressed out, is it something you feel in your shoulders? Do you feel breath? Do you get, short with other people? Do you lose your sense of humor? Do you use more of a sense of humor to try to break tension? What's your common sign of stress? And then, what restores you? When you're stressed out, do you need to go for a walk, a run? Do you need to eat some food? Maybe you get hangry. What restores you? What is the best way that other people can support you? When you're feeling the pressure, when you're recognizing that you are operating from that sympathetic nervous state, what can support you? And then lastly, what can push you away from others? What are ways that people maybe try to support you or think that they're supporting you that actually just have you pull away or push them away more? So now, I'll ask you, how many of us have thought about these questions before? I hope at least half of us, maybe at some point some of these questions have come into our mind. How many of us have shared the answers to these questions with our coworkers, or our loved ones, or family members? How many of us have engaged in conversations with them? Amazing. This is why you're here. I work with thousands of people every year, and when I do this survey, sometimes I'll pull it up in a Mentimeter and stuff like that, very few people are having these conversations. And yet this is like the building blocks of how we can start to work together. But why are we not having these conversations? What is awkward about engaging in something that's real or personal to us? Well, we don't have time to get into all of the Freudian defense mechanisms and all of that stuff, which I do very much love those topics. But we're going to talk about some ways to break down some of the barriers. So hopefully these feel a little bit more comfortable. Now, we're going to start off. I'm going to ask actually for a volunteer, speaking of AI. That's me in 3 different forms on stage there.
I would love to have a volunteer come join me to just do a bit of a personal reflection exercise. Does anyone want to volunteer to come up here with me? Round of applause, please. Just be mindful of all the cables and things to trip over.
Ready?
I think we could stand over here. Amazing. Now, again, if you could just tell everyone your name.
Angela.
Angela, thanks for joining me up here. Angela, I have some very simple questions for you, and just answer to the best of your ability. Okay, question number 1. What is your favorite color?
Blue.
Blue, matches the shirt, makes sense to me. Question number 2, what is your favorite fruit?
Green grapes.
Green grapes, specifically green ones.
Yes.
Okay, okay. What is your favorite pizza topping?
Jalapeno peppers.
You like it spicy?
Yes.
Okay. And one last question for you. What is your favorite song? Song.
This is a very old one. Sammy Davis Jr., Mr. Candyman.
I don't know if I... Do you mind just singing a little bit of it for everybody? Amazing! Give her a round of applause. Now, how did it feel to come up here not knowing what I was going to be having you do?
All right.
Okay.
Because I know I'm not in a strange place. I know some of the people here. I've done this before. Well, not this, but
we
I've
staged
been
the
on
whole
stage.
thing. No, awesome. You did a fantastic job. You can return back to your seat. Clearly you know each other, or you know yourself very well. Okay, so that was, yes, an exercise in self-awareness, but I was practicing some social awareness there. So when I ask for a volunteer, I typically get one of 3 types of people that would volunteer to come up and join me. Number 1 is just someone who loves the spotlight. They love themselves often, too, and they just spring up, they run up before I even get to choose someone, they're up on stage with me. Number 2, which is maybe a little bit of all of you, is that you recognize to achieve some dimension of growth, you need to push yourself. And so even if it's not the most comfortable thing for you, you'll plant your feet, you'll set your mind, and you'll join me. Then there's number 3. Number 3 is the fixer or the rescuer. This is the person that hates awkward silence, and when I ask for a volunteer and nobody else starts volunteering, it starts getting uncomfortable for them, and they, okay, if someone needs to do it, they are self-sacrificing a lot of the times. So based on the timing and how you stood up, I put you in the middle, but also a bit in that last category there. And maybe you saw it as part of your role of who you are here, some sort of figure, maybe authority, to come and join me. Then you didn't know what we were going to be doing. So you were looking for some self-soothing techniques. You had your hands kind of in and out of your pocket. Anytime that we're touching ourselves, it's usually some form of like giving ourselves a micro hug. So there was some self-soothing there that would tell me a little bit about the comfortability. Also, hands are really awkward. We never really know what to do with them when we're going to be standing up in front of people. Then you stood quite a ways away from me, which could have been part of the projector. Could have been that you just didn't trust me yet. And then as I started asking you some easy questions, when you were accessing authentic thought, you planted your weight a little bit more on your front foot and you looked up and to the right to access some of those questions there. And then when you were waiting to see my reaction, you put your weight back on your back foot, your right hand went into your pocket, and you were observing me. So you have some experience with adapting to people and trying to see what was going on there. When I asked you the question of the song, you took a big old step back from me because there was something threatening about me asking you that piece. But what I often am looking for is, are you again confident enough to be referencing your own songs, or are you sourcing the audience to get a sense of what would maybe put you in a more favorable light for them? You were very genuine to yourself. There was something touching your face that looked a little bit contemplative there. I'm not quite sure where that's coming from at this point in time, but maybe if I got to witness your actions a little bit more. And then the singing, you did it. So many people just freeze up on there, or they'll use their defense mechanisms like humor and maybe like overcompensation to hide their true self behind the singing. You did a fantastic job. There was a lot of growth there that I don't typically see in people that aren't accustomed to public speaking. So you did a great job. Now, what I was doing there, which is called cold reading, is something that our unconscious mind is doing constantly. If you ever find yourself in front of someone and just wonder why something about them just makes you feel icky, your unconscious is reading for congruence. We still have prey drive within us. So if someone is seemingly happy on the outside, but their body's like super tense, we'll notice when there's incongruence, and that makes us uncomfortable. Even if someone's a jerk, if they are just like jerk in the way they stand and jerk in the way they talk, there's something that's actually a little bit easier for us there because we can just understand them a little bit more. So our unconscious is reading all this all the time, which I'll ask, how many of us have a hard time remembering people's names when we first meet them? Most of us, unless we really put effort into not, because while our unconscious is doing all of that reading, that's when someone's usually telling us their name. And so we're taking this all in, their hair, their shoes, the way that they're walking, all of this kind of stuff. And then it's, oh crap, I forgot who they are. I forgot their name. Then we're trying to find those cheeky ways of getting them to say their name to somebody else so that you will remember their name, all of that. If we can gain control over some of these instincts, that prey drive, by first just telling ourselves that we're safe. When we're meeting somebody new, checking in with the moment, being present, then we can control the way that we're reading these cues. When I work with salespeople, understanding the way that their body position is, to understand how rapport has been built yet, tells us when we should go for the sale or not go for the sale. There's so much that if we pay attention, we can start to unravel. And we're going to, again, get into some of this, but the Communicate Bravely workshop is typically a half day to like 3 days. I sometimes deliver this. So we're going to be going quick, and I'll make sure that I'll get Alan to copy the slides and everything, and maybe you can distribute them so you don't have to worry about taking too many notes as well. Before we go any further, we're just going to talk about 4 communication ground rules. Number 1, everyone is mutually responsible for communication. Now, I'm only talking about the type of communication where we actually want to have a relationship of some sort with this person. Okay? If it's like your ex-wife and you're just, saying something and walking away, no big deal. We're not here to talk about those conversations. This is if you want to continue having a relationship. So what I mean by this is, say you and I were having a conversation, and you just understood me perfectly. And then I go and turn to you, and I say the exact same thing, but you just don't get it. It'd be very easy for me to blame you because it just worked here. So why is it not working here? It must be your fault. But you're a different person. That means this is instantly a different relationship, which means I need to try, perhaps, if I drew a diagram and that worked for you, maybe I need a puppet show to get my point across to you. We're mutually responsible for our communication. And if we are in the position of being leaders or managers, it's often more our responsibility to be the ones that are adapting. Okay, so can we all agree to rule number 1? Mm-hmm. Rule number 2, communication is more than words. If I want to get you excited, if I start gesticulating like this, and I move a little bit back, and I move more forward, and I even cut myself off when I'm talking, and I get really into my body gesturing, you can feel my excitement. But if I want to slow things down, if I want to get real with you for a moment, maybe I put my hand on my head. Maybe I bite my lip a little bit. You can communicate so much beyond the words that we're saying. The pace, the timbre, the way I maybe am moving, but then I plant my feet when I deliver my message. There's so much in how we carry ourselves that's saying way more than the words themselves. Which brings me to number 3, using the right platform for the type of communication that you are delivering. For most of us, text and email have become our primary source of communicating, which is just words, unless you throw in some emojis or something like that, which have been developed to try to trick the human interaction or the human interface. And yet, these platforms, text, email, they're fantastic for information. Meet me at this time, go to this place, this is what we're doing, here are the meeting minutes, they're great for that. But if we need to get into nuance, if we need to build trust, You need to get synchronous communication happening. For some of us, that's enough to just have a Zoom or a Meets call, but we need to get back to having in-person conversations, to see someone's eyes, to see how they are reacting to what you're saying. This is proving more and more difficult as the newer generations are coming into the workforce. I'm having this conversation constantly with HR reps where they just cannot get people to pick up the phone anymore. And yet our voice conveys so much. So the right platform for the right scenario. And lastly, one misplaced word takes 1,000 to undo. Think about this. So it was only last month I was with the Royal Canadian Air Force, and there's a lot going on with our military right now. They have some pretty ambitious goals. So they hired me to work with their trainers because they said, Jason, we need to get to the goal faster, which means we need to get communicating faster. And I said, well, with all due respect, and he had all these shiny things on him and everything. I said, with all due respect, I don't think you actually mean you need them to communicate faster. I believe you want them to get to understanding faster, which in my experience means they need to communicate slower. When we get nervous, when we are just speaking, the chances of putting in a misplaced word, which we then have to rectify and help us again get to the point of understanding, is so much higher. Slow down. Use your space. Be deliberate with every word that you say. And your public speaking will skyrocket. The number one mistake that new speakers, I'm on the chair for CAPS, Canadian Association of Professional Speakers, by the way. One of the common things with new speakers that we see is they speak too quickly. Slow down. Even when you first walk on, people will start talking, I want to tell you a story. Land first. Plant your feet. Connect with the audience. Talk. And it's the same, whether you're delivering a talk or you're entering a boardroom or you're having a one-on-one conversation. So that brings us to my Communicate Bravely model. Now, this is an acronym. I don't know how much you can see that over here. It says bravely down the side. You'll catch on quick. So the B, this is got to be like sacrilegious, I think.
Always happens. Poor thing.
Good? Yeah. All right. So be adaptable. That's also a thing in public speaking. B is for be present. So arriving, like we're saying, even that whole story of the sword master. Be present in your surrounding. It is so powerful. If I'm just having a conversation with Alan, hey Alan, how's it going? Oh yeah, how was your day today? That's really fantastic. I'm working in automatic pilot. There's no significant rapport being built in that moment. If we already have rapport, I can lean off of that a little bit. But when you actually stop and you plant your feet and you face someone and say, how are you doing today? How was the ride in? And you feel that connection so deeply in that. When I first came back from Nepal, this was after a number of years of traveling, I didn't move through the world like most North Americans. I was very slow. I was still wearing a lot of like robes and flowing clothes, and I was going to get an oil change. And the person didn't even look up. He was at this Mr. Lou. He's at the desk. And they're like, hey, how's it going? And I came in and I thought about it for a second. Yeah, it's going really well. Thanks for asking. And it must have been something odd about the way I responded to him, because he stopped and he looked up. And I said, how are you doing today? And he thought about it and he said, actually, I'm a little bit off. I rolled my car into the ditch last night, and I have to sort all that stuff out. I had to come into work today. And he started telling me about this huge experience he had the night before, and the entire shop stopped. He had been working with these guys for hours already. And they were like, Norman, why didn't you say anything to us? Oh, it never came up, you know. And I guarantee you, in the time that they've been working together, people had done like the sup, how's it going, that kind of thing, but nobody stopped and actually asked him how he was. It took a complete stranger to come in for him to feel safe enough to have that conversation. Be present. I'm going to ask you all to, in a moment, be present with me. We're going to go through these in a little bit more detail, but I'll go through the rest of them first. As soon as my clicker decides to work. Let's see. All right, we're going old school here. Next one, respectful honesty. So the concept's very simple, right? Why are we saying what we're saying? Is it for the benefit of our relationship? Is it for the benefit of my ego? Is it for their benefit? Do I have permission to be saying the things that I'm doing? If I'm giving feedback, do they really want it, or is it something to make me feel smart or feel good about myself? Respectful honesty, we'll get into that in a little bit as well. Assumption awareness. Assumptions are huge, and we'll dive into them in a little bit, but this is massive. We have these whole mental maps or mental schemas that belong to everything we see, touch, smell, hear. And we move through the world and create reality based on assumptions, but when we forget or lose sight of the fact that they're assumptions, that's when they get dangerous. Validation, one of the best ways to build rapport, and we'll talk about what that is. Empathy, there's a big lie that we've been told about empathy that we're going to fix today. Listening for shifts. Maybe we're present in the beginning, but we wander off, and that's when we have one of those conversations that started great, and now somehow we're in an argument and we don't even know how that happened. This happens with my wife all the time. And yes, and. Has anyone ever done improv? Yeah, a little bit of improv. This is the key to collaboration, and we're going to talk about that as well. Any questions? I'm moving very fast through things. You with me so far? Amazing. All right, so hopefully you can see in the middle of the screen at least. I'm going to challenge you to be present for 60 seconds. This is just 60 seconds. By the way, at one point in my life, I was meditating for up to 8 hours a day. So I'm asking you for 60 seconds here. I know you can do it. So count how many times the number 9 shows up on the screen in 60 seconds. Here we go. How many people got 16? 16. How many people got 17? 18? The number was 17. I found that if you want, all right, we did it. We found, for whatever reason, if you want people to actually be mindful, put some sort of a challenge or competition in it, and it'll appeal to a different part of our human conditioning. So one of the things that when we do an exercise like this that's remarkable for most people is that somehow, in this context, 60 seconds feels like a long time. And yet, if you're doom scrolling on social media, 60 seconds can go by like this. This is Einstein's theory of relativity. We always talk about how we don't have enough time in the day. Yet time is very relative. Again, if we embrace that be present mindset, we find that there seems to be all of a sudden abundance of time because we change the way that we prioritize things. Now again, we could do a whole workshop on mindfulness. I've worked with police officers, I've worked with nurses in the ER and talked about like being present with a client or a patient and how that changes the entire dynamic, even if they're still spending the same amount of time with them. This is the same when you're working with a client, with a loved one. Be present. Respectful honesty. We're going to talk about the different aspects of honesty here. So what we're aiming for is this top right. This is the balance between being honest and caring for the person or caring for the relationship. What we tend to fall into with people that we are working with or even people that are within our sphere of, I'll call it sphere of love, so family members and significant others, is this polite avoidance. We are dishonest or we deceive for this concept of saving somebody's feelings. But the whole concept of communicate bravely is face the hard to avoid the hurt, face the hurt to avoid the injury. When we put off telling our truths, they build up. The unconscious finds ways to let this stuff out. We build resentments that eventually come out through passive-aggressive action. So having these conversations respectfully and honestly at the beginning saves the relationship in the long run. It also builds integrity for you. When I tell a lot of personal stories when I do my professional talks. After my divorce, I started dating this woman, and I'd only been dating her a short period of time before I needed to get out, get my head straight, so I went out to BC for a month. And I talked to this woman on the phone, and she said, I miss you. And a smart person probably would have said, I miss you too, because that's probably what she was expecting. But I said, I would like to say that I miss you, but I'm not 100% sure if I miss you or if I'm lonely, and I'm still trying to figure that out. Now, somebody else would have probably just been like, screw you, and then the whole thing would have been over. But she really appreciated that I was being honest with my feelings there. 2 years later, I married that woman, and she's a psychoanalytic psychotherapist, and we have some fantastic conversations about the psyche. But this is a foundation that we built, because what happens all the times, if the only thing that you tell people are the truths when they feel good, or we lie to make people feel good, then it loses its weight. If I'm honest with you all the time, and I say, hey, that last time that you got up and spoke, I noticed you're doing a little bit more fidgeting. All these other things that we've been working on are quite good, but we can work a little bit on that. Then the next time you speak, I'm like, you crushed it. That was awesome. You're going to feel that so much more because it has that juxtaposition. It has that contrast from the whole spectrum of truths that I tell you. If anyone ever has teenagers, you know what weaponized candor is. That's when they can somehow find the exact truths that feel like a dagger that they shove into your back. And then we have malicious deception. This is throwing people under the bus. This is, for whatever reason, I want you to just hurt. This piece of relational apathy, that's just when we're not even taking the other person into consideration at all. We would talk to you the same way I'd talk to you, the same way I talk to you, the same way I talk to you, and that's not a place that we want to be when we're building rapport either. All right, moving through assumption awareness. As I mentioned, we have this mental schema of assumption. There's an old story about the 6 blind men encountering an elephant. So these 6 blind men were sitting in the market, and someone came by riding an elephant. They'd never experienced an elephant before. They said, do you mind if we come up and experience the elephant? The rider said, sure, come along. So one man came up, and he touched the elephant's trunk, and he said, oh, I get it. An elephant is like a snake. Someone else went and touched the elephant's tusk and said, oh, I see, an elephant is like a spear. Someone else touched the elephant's leg and said, ah, an elephant is like a tree. Someone else put his hands right on the middle of the elephant and said, an elephant is a great wall. And the last person touched the elephant's tail and said, an elephant is like a rope. And the 6 blind men began arguing about what an elephant was until the rider stopped them and said, well, you're all right. An elephant is all of these things and more. Again, we need to make assumptions to move through the world, but we need to be aware of when our assumptions are more than assumptions. When we start all of a sudden letting our concepts of stereotype, bias, our guesswork, diagnoses, I use this word loosely, but when all of a sudden we'll say, oh yeah, Kyle left the meeting last night angry. Well, do we know that for a fact? Did Kyle say they were angry? What did we notice? Well, if we just look at what we observed, Kyle got up, had a bit of a stern look on their face, and they stormed out of the room. What if Kyle needed to poop? I don't know. Right? There's so many different things that we don't understand, but we have to be aware of our assumptions. Validation. Validation does not mean that we agree with people. This is a very big distinction. This is just about giving mutual respect. We can do it verbally by saying, yeah, that sounds good. Oh, I can appreciate it. That would be difficult. Yeah. We can do it non-verbally with our body. Breathe with the person. Yeah. When I was doing counseling and started my hypnotherapy training, one of the most powerful things when you just take someone in, and you see them, and you can even say that and just say, I see you. The amount of people that break down into tears just from hearing, I see you in those moments, it's super powerful. Empathy. What is one of the things that we hear from a young age about empathy? Put yourself in
Somebody else's shoes.
Put yourself in the other person's shoes. That is the biggest lie of empathy. We all have different size feet. Don't put yourself in the other person's shoes. That would be like if you were mortified to do public speaking and Alan came up to you and was like, okay, I need to run out. Can you cover me for 10 minutes? Maybe for you that would be terrifying, but if I put myself in your shoes, that wouldn't terrify me at all. When we do that, that is just narcissistic action. That's not actual empathy. Empathy is to hold you as a person in your shoes. It's like the whole concept of treat people the way that you want to be treated. No, treat people the way they want to be treated. Understand the other person. And when we don't know things, we can clarify. We don't need to be ruled by our assumptions. Our listen for shift, it starts to put all of these things together. If we can be present throughout the entirety of the conversation, when we can be honest and watch for their honest feedback as well, watch for those assumptions, validate, then we can watch for when we built rapport. There's an old trick for rapport building, by the way. If you're at a dinner party, you can try this. You start off by mimicking what someone else is doing. So the person across from you, they pull out their water bottle. When they pull out their water bottle, you pull out yours, and you'll drink at the same time. And then you put it down when they put it down. And watch for a moment where they're breathing or some other sign syncs up with you. Now you have control over the mirroring neurons. So when you sit back in your chair, they'll sit back in their chair. When you cross your arms, they cross their arms. And it's like you've now taken mind control over this person. Use these powers for good, my friends. But try it. It's really fascinating to see those mirroring neurons happen. If you watch for those subtle shifts, one of the things that Daniel Goleman talks about with emotional intelligence is watching for social management. That's when you are in charge. If you are a leader, you can control an entire room without saying a single word, just with your presence, the way that you stand, when you nod, how you breathe. That is true leadership. Some people will call it CEO energy. When I was writing, I'm working on the book Communicate Bravely right now, and I've been interviewing a whole bunch of leaders in some different organizations that I work with, and there's a presence of people that aren't in that false confidence, that just know their worth and can sit across from you, and you feel like they are taking you all in. That's that presence. And then the last one, yes and. So yes and, in our culture, we're very good at not saying no outright, but we are also very good at saying yes, but. We say yes, but, which is like, yeah, and now I don't care about anything that you said up to that point. Watch the buts that we use. One of my current coaching clients, he's the chief DEI officer for a large financial institution, and DEI is not a popular HR sector. They have to come up with initiatives that often will cost the company money. And the amount of times that he comes to me, he's like, Jason, I put so much work into this proposal, and I laid it all out about how it would actually save the money if we got people coming back into the office, and we incentivized them, and we paid for gas, and we did these things. And they shut it right down. And you know what that does? It makes me not want to try on my next project. So how do we do that? I'm going to play a quick clip for you. See if we have enough volume for this. And I want you to try to pick out the no's, the yes buts, and the yes and. This is Louis C.K. TV show.
Right.
What's that?
I had all of these, something like 39 years of shitty days, 22 years to go.
We can't hear this, can we?
So
No. So we'll pass it. So let's talk about what it actually looks like then. If we were playing a game, if we were doing a workshop, I typically bring in an improv game, and it's called Remember When. So it would look like if we all went on a corporate retreat together, and I said, Alan, remember when we went on a corporate retreat and we went surfing, and when we got into the water, we thought we saw a shark and we were terrified. Alan would say, oh yeah, I was so scared. And then we saw that it was actually a dolphin, and we laughed and we laughed and we laughed. Now that would be a yes. Yes, I know that we went on that. I accept the offer that you talked about. And that wasn't a shark, it was a dolphin. Haha, built on the idea. So what does this look like in real life? If we were to, say, be my DEI client who went in with an initiative and said, I really think this is a great way that we can bring people back into the office, make them feel seen, make them feel heard, but maybe I'm thinking we don't have a budget for this. My first instinct might say, I appreciate it, and it's just not going to work for us. That's going to still feel, that's another way of saying, yes, but. But they were to say, you did a lot of great research here, and there's a lot of things that we can take from this and implement. And I feel like Q4 is probably not the best time to roll this out, but Karen's been working on a budget for Q1, and I think that maybe we can revisit this and we can find a way to implement some aspects of this. We can say now's not the best time and still make this person feel like they've done a good job by thinking of the ways that we can do our ands. It is the ultimate in collaboration. It builds the yes, affirmation, validation, and empathy, and the and builds on it, invites in and says, I'm willing to collaborate with you. We're on an even playing field. All right, friends. We've been over a lot. So to go back to what we've looked at here. Again, you're going to get all of this. There's a little handout that will get sent to you virtually that will break out each of these as well. But if you just remember any one of these, or you're going to pick one, start with the be present. So much of the other stuff will come if you just arrive with your conversations, slow down, invite space in. One of the best things that you can do to help someone feel respected in your communication is if you say, let me think about that for a moment, or let me just take that in. Yeah, that's a really good idea. Slow down, invite in the space. And sometimes it feels awkward when someone feels like they need to fill that space immediately. So if we take it upon ourselves to give the space permission and say, yeah, I just want a moment to think about that. And then we get to set the tone for how the conversation goes. We then become that social management leader. And the yes and, build, that does validation, that helps people feel like you're empathizing with them and that you're listening. And then we'll go back to those last 4 communication ground rules. To recap them, remember that everyone is a part of it. We don't put the blame on it. If the goal is mutual understanding, we find ways to do that. Clarify, clarify, clarify if we need to. Learn how powerful your entire person is for your communication. Explore it. Look at yourself deeply in the mirror when you get home. See yourself. It's such a powerful place to start. Use the right platform. It might be scary and uncomfortable to sit toe-to-toe. When it's time for performance reviews, I get a lot of phone calls from people where they're saying, just help me get through performance reviews. I don't know how to sit there. It's so awkward. Don't invite in the awkwardness. When I came back to North America, I started by doing suicide intervention work. One of the first things that they taught us is we don't make it more awkward than it needs to be. So don't start by saying, we need to have an awkward conversation now. Because they're like, oh, okay, I didn't think it was awkward beforehand, but now you told me that it's going to be an awkward conversation. You just say, how does this feel? Let's have a conversation. Sit down, welcome. In the content that I'm going to give you, there's my diamond model in there as well. It's a bit of a blueprint of how you can actually have these conversations with a bit of an outline with that as well. And it'll guide you through the invitation, the offer, the assumptions, the awareness of what you notice. Slow down, be deliberate with your words. So as I said, I will send out the information to Alan, but if I said anything that you want to learn more about, or you want to get in touch with me directly, by all means reach out. I'm not going to charge you any consultation fees or anything like that. And if you scan that QR code, there will be a couple questions to just say, what do you think I could have done better in this presentation? You can skip all that if you want. After that, you'll get a copy of my first book for free, which was the Prosperity Triad, and you'll also get access to Communicate Bravely and the Diamond Model. Thanks, everybody. Any questions? We covered a lot of stuff. Great. I'll take it to mean that you're just so, sponge-like right now that you're still taking it all in.
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Anywhere in there is, like this is me, take an interest in people, enjoy them.
Yeah.
That's what makes it happen.
Absolutely.
It's not in what you said, I didn't see it.
It's in the long form. So when I talk about mindfulness,
Thank you, I figured it would be.
yeah, so I call curiosity mindfulness in motion. And I challenge people to bring curiosity back into their life in general.
Yes.
And we lose this as children when we look at a dandelion. I used to love dandelions. You could wipe them on your friends and they get that yellow streak on them. When they're dried out, you can blow them into the wind. I used to pluck them for my mom, and she used to put them in a little vase. And I remember my heart breaking when one of her friends one day said, "Why are you bringing weeds inside the house?" And so when I got older, I looked up the definition of a weed. Does anyone know what the definition of a weed is? It's
Foreign plant.
What's that?
Foreign plant.
It's any plant growing where you don't want it to. That means we get to choose, when we look out into the world, how many flowers we see and how many weeds we see. But it's that curiosity we lose. When we're kids, we're playing with them, we're in love with them. And when we grow up, we just hit them with Roundup and we want them gone. Curiosity is a huge part of this work, absolutely.
I wrote down 2 concepts. Maybe if you develop more about this. For example, I wrote down, you mentioned something about CEO energy. I like that, and also the concept about listen for shifts. If you can develop more about one of those.
Sure, absolutely. So the CEO energy, it's something that comes up in a lot of podcasts. People will talk about it. It's never clearly defined because it's something that's felt. I believe that it is presence. And as I said, when I started this journey of writing this book, and it was Procter & Gamble's chief executive. So I sat down with one of them, and they just sat there, didn't say anything at first. They looked at me, they took me in, and said, "What do you need from me?" And there was something just in that moment, just that little piece that I was just like, oh, I felt like I could ask for, I don't know, the key to the golden toilet or something like that, and they would have given it to me. There was something just in that presence, and I do believe that that is congruence. I come back to this a lot because I studied person-centered therapy, and this is something that Carl Rogers was really big on. If you ever want to see a glimpse of this, YouTube Carl Rogers person-centered therapy, and he has these fantastic, this is from the 70s, sessions recorded where he's just so with a person that is the therapeutic action, just his presence alone. And the listen for shifts is honestly just about being present throughout the whole thing. At any point in time, we never know what's going to potentially trigger someone, because we are all walking around with bags of trauma, whether they're big T's or little T's. And so you can say just the smallest little thing that to all your friends or people you've talked to before, it won't affect them whatsoever. But people will tell you if they're starting to get uncomfortable, or if you're taking in the wrong direction, or if you're being too formal or you're being not formal enough. You have to watch for those subtle cues. And it's too much to do all of that in the beginning. Pick one of these at a time to integrate into your conversations. Thank you. Cool? Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. I love members, distinguished guests, and welcome guests. Welcome to our table topics visualization section of the meeting. This is actually where we truly look the stage right in the eye. This is where we cultivate the skill of thinking on our feet. And this is where you create a new you, who is fearless, self-confident. And I encourage all the guests to take part in this section because this is actually fun and we don't have any sword mask hiding somewhere here. We will jump out and hit you with a bamboo stick, as Jason said. Say, but this is fun part, and I think actually by taking this first step, you create, you become actually a person who can come up, take the challenge and speak. But if you stay where you are, you don't volunteer, you become the person who actually hides away and doesn't take the challenge. So it's very important. Today we have two themes. It's communicating bravely, so I prepared table topics to be in line with Jason's presentation. And the other one is suggested by Alan, FIFA World Cup. I can put you on the spot, which I think is the best way, that's how I learned. But I'll be nice, so I will read the topic and then I'll ask if anyone is willing to talk, or then we'll switch to the rescuers. So Angela, I'm counting on you. Right, so the first one, I will start with communicating bravely, and a very simple situation which might happen in real life. You send a sarcastic email to the whole company. How do you save your job? Any volunteers?
Can you repeat that?
Oh yeah, sure. You send a sarcastic email to the whole company at work. How do you save your job? Okay, I'll ask Alan because Alan is experienced. He will show you how to do it.
Thank you, Table Topics leader, fellow Toastmaster, most welcome guest. If I sent a sarcastic email to the entire company and it was a red in the face kind of moment, I would have to react by saying, I was being sarcastic and I actually meant to praise everything I meant in that. That's why it's sarcasm. So I meant to say the opposite. And basically I would have to say, spin it in a positive light and say that, this was no intention to put anyone in a negative, any person or any policy in a negative aspect. It's actually to highlight that we can actually, we're on a path to improvement and we are actually just highlighting some of the things that, we can do better. And that was the purpose of that. So experiments, successful. Thank you.
So now, once you've seen an example how table topics work, any
Question.
Yeah.
I noticed a green card. So is there a certain time limit?
Oh yeah, there's a timing procedure. Thank you, Jason. So you have this table topic speaker has from 1 to 2 minutes. You leave a speech, and may I ask the timer to explain the timing procedures?
Yes. So the green card was the 1 minute mark. Then there's a yellow just at the halfway, so 1 minute 30, and the red at 2 minutes.
Thank you. So the second table topic question. You overslept and missed a big meeting. What is your bravest, funniest excuse? Looks like Rick wants to talk.
Me? I'm drawing a blank, but I'll try.
Yeah, why not?
I'm really thinking about it. That's crazy. Thank you. Could you repeat that?
Yes, thank you. You overslept and missed a big meeting. What is your bravest and funniest excuse?
Okay. Thank you. Listen, everyone, I know that I have missed the meeting, and you know that I feel it's really important to be there. I wouldn't miss it normally, but my child, and many of you are parents too, you know children, bless them, they're pretty busy. Well, he spilled my coffee on the computer, there was a big incident, and my wife was sleeping and didn't want to wake her up. So in the end of all, I took care of my lovely son. It took a little bit longer than I expected, and I jumped on as soon as I could to the meeting, so here I am, and of course, please send me the notes that I missed afterwards. I'm very eager to hear what I missed. Okay, apologize, thank you very much. Thank you. I'm going to use that one sometime. What's your brain thing?
But of course, after communicate bravely, we would just say, sorry everyone, I slept in. And just tell the truth, right?
Okay, I think it's time to switch to FIFA World Cup. So we'll just alternate. What is the most thrilling World Cup match you have ever watched? Any soccer fans? Linda? Yeah.
Okay. Topics later. Fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests. I am an embarrassed person who grew up in Toronto who didn't know soccer at all. I never had an interest in soccer. And here I marry this lad. We've married 43 years, and it's only recently because the World Cup, and we've never really gotten into the soccer. He knows it like mad. All of a sudden, we're watching soccer, and I love it. Why do I like it? Because I love tennis, I love squash, I love the odd stuff. I did no leg work, and I just watched and looked, and I sat there thinking, I like this. I hate to say this. I like men. I like watching them move, just watching men move with their legs. I think this is a neat sport. So I fell into it after all these years. Mr. Tabletop.
Thank you. All right. Describe the craziest thing you or someone you know has done to watch a game.
Thank you, Table Topics Leader. I suppose in the grand scheme of things, this isn't that crazy, but it seemed pretty crazy to me at the time. And it was at the beginning of the World Cup that is now coming to a close. The very first game, as you may recall, was Mexico playing South Africa. And my workplace decided that they were going to have a workplace social around this game. So before the game, we had some presentations from some of the leaders in the company and that sort of thing. And then they had the game on that we could watch. Now, so far so normal. What's unusual about that? The part that was unusual was the venue that they chose. So when they had been promoting it, they had said, oh, we're going to have this event at Cabana Pool Bar down by the lake. And I'm thinking, okay, that's fine, whatever. If you're familiar with that venue, you may be aware that it's next to / connected to Rebel Nightclub. Turns out we were using the whole thing. So I'm sitting there thinking, I'm in a nightclub for a work event. This is very strange. And it feels like a nightclub. It's all black, there's poles, like the whole thing. And so I think to me that was the strangest thing that I've done to watch a soccer game.
Share a memory of time when your favorite team broke your heart or brought you joy.
Thank you. I'm from Chile. You hear about this country in South America? We were every year close to win something. So close. But something happened. It's a goal, it's a hand, it's a penalty, and we lose every time. And I was growing with a lose or loss mentality. Because for me, even if you try, you're not gonna make it because something's gonna happen. Argentina is gonna defeat you, Brazil is gonna defeat you, Spain, Germany, it's a lot of good teams. But what happened? One time, if a communicator started to raise in Chile, and you know what he said? We can win. And everyone was saying, oh, this guy is crazy. How do you think a small country can win the World Cup? How? And where is coming there? And this idea was growing for my generation, another generation. Listen to this statement, you can win. And suddenly, when I grow up, you know what happened? We lost again. We lost again, but we have the opportunity to get closer there. But we lost. And when they do the interview to the player after the game, don't worry. Next year, the cup is going to be in our home. You see, the mentality was there. The seed was growing there inside the player. They not say, oh, well, bad luck. They say, we're going to do it in our home. Next year, we're going to have an Argentina with Messi. This Messi in the final. The same Argentina went to the final in Chile. And we defeat them. For the first time in 100 years, Chile won. Don't forget, because some state about to believe we can win, this seed, if we put in the mind, can grow it and make result in the right time. Thank you.
Thank you. That's right. All the victories and defeats happen in your head, right? In our heads, which Jason told us, and this is true. If you were in charge of hosting the World Cup in your hometown, what unique tradition would you introduce? Luis?
Yes.
Can you repeat it?
Definitely. If you were in charge of hosting the World Cup in your hometown, what unique tradition would you introduce?
Unique tradition. Yes. Okay. Thank you everyone for being here. Many of you maybe don't know, but I'm from Nicaragua, so it's in Central America. So we're a tiny country in this big continent. So if I will be the host for the next World Cup, maybe the unique tradition that will encourage to everyone to have or participate or to do is drink a traditional beverage before or after. Oh, okay. If you lose, you have to drink this beverage, which is cacao, sorry for the mispronunciation, and milk, because that mix is kind of dangerous. So if you lost the game, you also have like a penalty, or you have a punishment for losing the game. I know it might sound crazy, but probably I'll introduce this as a, to try to be every game more challenging, because you don't just lose a game, and maybe you can lose more things. So you don't want to be in trouble after losing a game. That can be my unique tradition. Thank you. Forget that.
Mr. Toastmaster, do we have time for more?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. I'll switch back to communicating bravely, just for a change. Okay, so you are eating pizza in the office, and the last slice is left. So convince the room why you deserve the very last slice of pizza. Angela. Well, you moved to the side.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yes. So convince the room why you deserve the last slice of pizza.
Oh, why I deserve the last slice of pizza, of course. That's it. Fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests. I want to thank everybody for coming out today before the meeting. I know it was exhausting. I know it took a lot, but I do appreciate you coming in, actively being engaged in the presentation, actively giving your thoughts, your ideas, and so on. I do want to thank the person that put it all together, that spent the day making sure the room was available, the food, and so on. And I hope that when you're all leave here tonight, you will have learned something and you now have some ideas that you will take away with you and present. And just to thank the person that did it all together, that person will get the last slice of pizza. So I want to thank you very much.
Okay, so it's a fun one. Speak directly to your phone to convince it not to, well, actually, to tell the algorithm to stop sending you weird ads. So we need to speak directly to the phone to convince the algorithm to stop sending you weird ads. Anyone?
Did it actually work?
I don't know. I think so. Because obviously those phones are listening to us, right? Linda, you want to talk? Is it? Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yes, well, yeah. Okay. Tabletopers leader, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests. Why do you take pleasure in making me feel terrible? Is it the way you like to be? Is it in you to be like this with people, to make them feel terrible? Why do you ever think about whether you would like to be that person, doing what you're, taking what you're doing? I'm saying, putting this backwards, but would you like to be treated like that by somebody, by people? When you do this, do you ever think, why am I doing this? Why am I hurting people? No, I should say, do they like me to do this to them or not? It's important because do you ever think about that? Do you ever step back and think, why am I doing this? Should I be doing this? Are they happy that I'm doing this? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm switching back to FIFA. Design the most ridiculous, funny mascot for a future tournament and explain its special powers. Design the most ridiculous, funny mascot for a future tournament and explain its special powers. Okay, Jason.
Thank you very much. I got a chance to tell you a little bit about some of my journeys. And when I was living with different Indigenous people, I got exposed to a lot of different traditions. When I lived with the Australian Aboriginals, I got to understand the power of dream time and the Mimi spirits. When I was studying West African percussion, I started to understand what some of the shamanic traditions were like and what music could really do. And there was an odd tradition that I was exposed to that I wasn't really sure what I was going to get into. It was when I was in South America, and someone said I should try licking a specific toad. And I went along with it because I could be somewhat suggestible at times. And I will say that I reached an altered state of being from that moment. And when you go into an experience like this, where you completely surrender, and it feels like you've lost your body, you've lost your sense of what reality is, well, for me, I think that's probably the only state I would watch soccer in. So I feel like this would be a fantastic mascot if everyone got to get a hands on one of these toads, and the superpower would be that we wouldn't be in competition anymore. Just love each other. You know, that ball, those people, we're one. The world could use a little bit more of that. Thank you.
Okay, so you are a referee who just made a terrible game-changing mistake. How do you defend your choice to angry fans? You're a referee who made a terrible game-changing mistake. How do you defend yourself to angry fans? Any volunteers? Monica? No? You feel like...
Sorry, I never watched the game, I don't know what the referee is. Sorry.
Any volunteers? Or I can put you on the spot. Just speaking from... Okay.
She's a new Toastmaster.
I'm not a sporty person.
Okay, I'm going to ask Alan. Looks like Alan has something talking in his head. I
Can
think.
you repeat the question again? I didn't quite.
Yes, you are a referee who just made a terrible game-changing mistake. How do you defend your choice to angry fans?
Thank you, Table Topics Leader, Toastmaster, most welcome. Well, the referee is actually the king on the field, and you can't actually question what the referee does. If you actually start arguing with the referee, you can get a red card yourself and get actually turfed out of the game. So, to the fans, I think as a referee, to explain the call and say, if you don't agree with me, you get a red card and leave the stadium. You spent that $3,000 ticket. Unfortunately, you don't agree with me. You leave the stadium. You don't get to see the rest of the game. A little harsh, but thank you very much. When you're put on that striped shirt and everything, you're the authority. Nobody can question you. Right? So that's what happened with a few of the controversial calls. I think a few of the referees seemed to be on the side of the opponents of Argentina, but who knows whether or not that was coincidence or whether or not there is any favoritism. But anyway, it's up to you to decide that. Thank you very much.
So, Mr. Toastmaster, we have 10 minutes left, right? Do we have one more, or we need to wrap up?
I think we'll wrap up and then, and then ask for everyone to vote for the best table topic speaker.
We're going to vote for the best table topic speaker, and please use this ballot sheet. At the bottom you have best table topic speaker section, so please put the speaker that you think the best, and I'm going to repeat the names. So we have Linda. Oops, there it goes.
Oh no. Yeah.
And this is so masked. So we have Linda with the most thrilling World Cup match that she ever watched. Kelsey described the craziest thing you've done to watch a game. Then we have Edu, right? With when the favorite team broke his heart. Luis about the unique tradition when hosting World Cup in his hometown. Jason about designing the most ridiculous mascot for the future game. Alan, referee who made a terrible mistake. Then we had Ellen again, who sent a sarcastic email to the whole company. Rick, who always left a big meeting. Linda, who spoke to the phone to tell the algorithm to stop sending weird ads. And Angela, who convinced the room to give her the last slice of pizza. So this concludes the table topics section of the meeting, and I turn control back to our Toastmaster, Alan.
Table topics leader, and please turn off that little piece, pass back to our table topics leader to compile the results. I'd like to take this time to thank all the guests for coming and the members who can make it today. I'd like to also give the chance for some of our guests to give us some feedback on this is your first time at a Toastmaster session, or if you've been a Toastmaster before, how did you like this session, and do you have any feedback for us and for the workshop in general and how the meeting proceeded. So maybe I can start with our guest speaker, Jason. Did our meeting, this is the first time you've been at a Toastmasters meeting, what did you think about it's not the typical one, we didn't have all the, we didn't have any speeches or some of the, a toast or anything like that, but what did you think about the environment and how we proceeded with the meeting?
Yeah, thank you.
Audience.
I appreciated that tabletop component to it. We do some similar kind of things in CAPS, but I think there were some aspects of it that I would probably borrow and bring into CAPS, so that was really cool. In hindsight, I probably would have brought a speaker so that I could have played that video, so that's a critique on the speaker, he wasn't well prepared. Other than that, I like the supportive nature of it. I love that everyone felt pretty comfortable. Those that went out did a fantastic job. Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to come in.
Thank you, Jason. And Monica, thank you for returning Toastmasters.
Well, it was a fun reminder of, I haven't been in a Toastmaster since COVID, 6 years or so. I always liked the structure of the concept. I always admire that concept. It has, I have seen over the years people changing completely from shy, becoming outspoken, fantastic personality. But I have to tell everybody something. If you stop doing it, you lose it. And you become shy again and nervous again. And it's not like bicycling and you know it for the rest of your life. It's, you lose it. I'm very surprised to realize that I completely lost it.
Thank you, Monica. Yeah. So that's an important thing, it's like riding a bicycle, even though you don't forget, or skating, if you haven't done it for years, you kind of forget the skill of how to skate.
I really, really enjoyed Jason's workshop. Learned a lot of things. I do speak too fast.
I will say, I noticed it today. I noticed it. I found the time.
All right, Louis?
I just want to say thank you to our guests, and I always feel in a safe place, so thanks for having me in the session, and yeah, just
And Rick?
Yeah, what's the exact question?
Oh, it's just like, any general feedback you have for us, like, if it was your first Toastmaster session and, the workshop meet your expectations, how did the flow of the meeting go, did it meet your expectations?
Thank you for that. It was my first Toastmasters. Again, I've heard about Toastmasters for 10 plus 15 years, and I'm so glad to get the opportunity to come finally. And I know this is a bit of a special one, but yet even if I come to a quote-unquote regular one, it's great. So thank you for doing this. It's neighborhood and hosting it. It's really, really great. And there's some ideas I had in my head what Toastmasters was, and some that's true, and some that's not. And it's really interesting to figure that out. As for Jason, thank you so much. I just love seeing dare I say, other professional speakers. Really liked it, and I felt akin to some of the stories you were talking, different places, but world travel and all that stuff, the lessons we learned. And for me, the empathy was the one that sticks out for me. I really love that reframe. I've never heard that before. Really love it, and I'm going to take that to my heart. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Louis. And Fumitaki?
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to attend this meeting. And it's first time. I heard the Toastmaster a long time ago, but it's the first chance to attend this workshop. And I recognize myself that I get very nervous about when I need to speak something. But I would like to make improvement. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. You're in the right place, Fumitaki. Everyone started to work. And Tricia.
Yeah, but no, I really did enjoy tonight's meeting. I like what you said, Linda, when you spoke about the soccer. Like you said that you didn't really enjoy soccer too much, but then you like looking at the man in the legs and running.
I love the sport. My dad was British.
Okay, there you go.
Soccer.
Yeah. So it was a very good meeting, and thank you, Jason, for coming and giving the talk. Like when you were doing your the workshop today, I think there's this a thing that goes like seek first to understand rather than trying to be understood. So that came in my mind a number of times too. I have a background in Canadian banking as well too, and it's like we learn about having a lot of accountability and ownership and the core values: respect, integrity, passion, accountability. So that when you're speaking, that all that's going through my mind too, just being present in the moment, and you can get a lot out of being present in a moment with a person, having a conversation, getting their perspective. Just like I was saying, seeking first to understand rather than trying to be understood, right? So enjoyed that. I enjoyed everything the table talk was today with the group. What everybody was saying, and it gave me some ideas and insights, and in terms of like getting up and doing impromptu speaking, even for topics that I may not know, just about being creative with thoughts and ideas. So I'm looking forward to signing up again and getting back into the public speaking. Yeah.
Fantastic, thank you. Eduardo?
This is my second time in this club, and I really appreciate the organization and the chance to get listened to the speaker. Thank you, Jason, for the presentation, and I can see how much information he can try to put it in 1 hour. I really appreciate the summary talent there to put it there, and that's pretty much. And I came from another club. And this club, every club has their own personality. This is interesting way to identify. Looks similar, but everyone has their own personality. Thank you for being here.
And last but not least, Angela, Area Director.
Thank you, Alan. I always appreciate coming and visiting your club. And for the guests, special guests that are coming in, and for those that are returning, welcome back to Toastmasters. Please become a member again. The scales that you can learn is you can take this and just plot it wherever you are in life and so on. For people who are thinking about it, join and then see where it goes. Jason, thank you. When you were doing your bravery, I wrote down everything, and then the one thing I'm like, okay, Angela, that's you. Is listening for the shift. What I find that when I'm in meetings, especially when it's on Zoom and I'm at home, I look out my window and I don't hear what they're saying. So most of the time I miss what's going on. And I'm putting two together, be present and listening for the shift. Because if I'm present, I will hear when the shift in the conversation happens and I will be there. So I thank you for that, because those are some of the things I can apply directly to the way that I conduct my conversations. Being on the other side, being the one being spoken to or given information, sometimes I drift off because So back to you, Alan. Yeah.
Right.
And thanks for putting this on.
Thank you. Thank you for everyone for coming. And reminder that your guest form, please pass your guest form to Dimitri in the back there, so we can reach you and email you the electronic slides and contact you in the future for any future events at your Park Toastmasters. And we also, don't forget, if you are on Instagram and Facebook, we do have an Instagram account and a Facebook page. So if you follow us there, you'll also get notified of like special workshops and open houses and any other special events that we have. So please follow us there as well. And thank you for coming. Oh, before I close, yes, we had the best table topics was